Hello, everyone. I am Jeffrey Turner, aka MegaJetty1, and you can bet on that. And today's live stream, we are going to. Hold on. Forgot to hit the mute button there. Oh, well, nobody's perfect after all. So, yeah, today's live stream is going to be about Star Wars. And, well, we have someone here to join us so far. Welcome, Scott. Live stream is going to be.
Thanks for having me on here, MegaJetty.
Hey, not a problem. Glad to have someone on board because would have been a bit of an embarrassment to have to talk to the camera all by myself.
Yeah, unless if you're driving or something, you can drive like Anna. You can talk to the camera. Who knows? Maybe you can do that.
Well, true, but I don't know if I have a well, my stepdad recently got a new phone, so it's possible. Just got to figure out how to upload it to YouTube.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. And it's funny how I'm doing a Star Wars live stream, yet he's wearing his Starfleet Academy from Star Trek.
Yeah, I see the shirt. It's property of Starfleet, I see.
Yeah, with the San Francisco Bridge and all that.
Yep.
So, let's start off this discussion of Star Wars with theories. What is your opinion on the theory that Luke's green lightsaber crystal from Return of the Jedi may have very well have come from Qui-Gon Jinn?
I honestly don't know. I just think that something would have to, in order for it to make sense, there'd have to be some kind of possible connection as to how he got it from him. Was it through a dream sequence before all the events happened in The Force Awakens? And well, I mean, are we talking about during the time he was actually the Luke that we knew in the original trilogy? Is this?
Yeah, this is like during the original trilogy. It's like after Empire, Luke, he lost his hand as well as his father's lightsaber, so he had to make a new one. But originally in the expanded universe, the EU, they basically had it where Luke did something that Sith are known to do, which is instead of getting Force crystals from planets where they grow, they artificially created their crystals. That's why they came in red. Luke had to do the same thing, but because he meditated over it, he was able to make it glow green instead of red. But because Disney retconned all of that with their rewriting of the lore, basically all crystals were Kyber crystals, and they all came from a planet called Ilum. And essentially, the theory is Luke got his green crystal from Obi-Wan's hut because when he went to Tatooine to prepare to rescue Han, he had to start building his own lightsaber, and he got the parts he needed from Ben's old hut. The theory is one of the things he found in there was Qui-Gon Jinn's old green lightsaber crystal.
That's interesting. I remember there was a deleted scene of Return of the Jedi where he was actually, constructing his lightsaber. He was trying to put the finishing touches, and he actually tested it right before he would give R2-D2 basically the plan to rescue Han, and probably more than likely he stuck his lightsaber in R2-D2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they still never said exactly where he got the crystal. So I understand. On one hand, I understand why a lot of people don't like the EU. A lot of the people at Disney. I mean,
it seems a bit far-fetched.
For one hand, they wanted to put their own mark on it. But there were some inconsistencies with the EU. Like one EU book would say one thing, and another EU book would say something contradictory, and so that's why it was always difficult. So, on one hand, I can understand not liking the changing of the lore of the lightsaber crystals, but on the other hand, I feel like there's some good to it. Creates another idea. So what do you think? Do you prefer the EU version where Luke artificially created his crystal, or do you prefer the new Disney canon that his crystal came from Qui-Gon?
I'll be honest, I never read the Thrawn novels, so I can't say if they were any good. I'm sure they'd definitely be preferable to the Disneyverse for sure. but they probably, if they're gonna, I don't know if I would care much for the Disney or the novelization. I mean, I think if you're gonna go by the novelization, they should definitely refine it and kind of explain how Luke got that crystal saber or got the crystal himself. So that I'm trying to really think this through here. So I think that, like I said, the novels need to really kind of explain it. I don't know if he really got it from Qui-Gon Jinn. I thought maybe he could have got it from Ben himself, for all we know. Maybe it was maybe Ben was or Obi-Wan. Sorry, not yeah, Obi-Wan, Ben, whichever you want to call him.
Yeah,
he may have had some extra crystals laying around, or maybe you never know. He might have had an idea to maybe build one and maybe teach a few young people that wanted to learn the ways about the Force, just like Luke did. So who knows?
Yeah,
that could be possible. But I feel like maybe if they're gonna, I think the like I said, the novelization should explain a little bit more in depth about lightsaber crystals and where they came from. So
yeah. My reasoning on why I think it could be Qui-Gon's is when you look at Luke's attitude by Return of the Jedi, he doesn't trust Obi-Wan nor Master Yoda because of them keeping the truth of who Darth Vader was to him a secret.
That's true.
And then you look at Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, how Qui-Gon Jinn, he was a Jedi Master, but he wasn't the same as the members of the Jedi Council. He was a maverick. He defied the code that the Council lived by.
Yeah, he was willing to train Anakin on his own, because the Jedi Council was not was against Anakin being trained. Even Mace Windu said no, he will not be trained.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Qui-Gon, he was willing to defy the Council because he saw something in Anakin that was worth tapping into. And then Luke sees something worth preserving. That's why he disobeys Obi-Wan and Yoda's suggestions to kill Vader to save his father. And so it's like what started with Qui-Gon ends with Luke, because Luke inherited Qui-Gon's crystal, and that kind of means spiritually Qui-Gon rubbed off on Luke to a degree.
It's possible.
Yeah,
and like I said, he was willing to. He saw potential in Anakin, and even though he was willing to train 2 apprentices, of course the Council wouldn't allow that. But Obi-Wan said he was ready to face the trials, and that would have at least saved enough time for Qui-Gon to train Anakin the way he thought he could have trained him before he got killed off. So
yeah, here's what I feel. First off, in Phantom Menace, the one thing I felt they could have done a little bit better on was establish the more brotherly dynamic between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they both would see Qui-Gon Jinn as the father figure. But then when Qui-Gon dies, it's 2 brothers, one older, one younger, trying to learn how to help one another cope with the loss. I felt that's what they should have done a little bit more of.
You thought they could have developed the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin a little better, and maybe even, hell, to be honest, I felt like there should have been a little bit more of a developmental relationship, or not developmental, but a little more scenes showing how much Qui-Gon values Obi-Wan to some degree, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Hello, Batman big fan. Nice to have you here. But yeah, as I was saying, it's like we got the introduction of Obi-Wan and Anakin in Phantom Menace with that handshake. And then the next time, and then it's like from then on out, Obi-Wan, whenever he talks of Anakin, he's like, the boy is too old. He's too dangerous. The Council will not permit this. It's like, it's like they meet on a good note, and yet for some reason Obi-Wan is constantly talking bad about him behind his back. I feel they should have had more, bonding moments like on the trip between Coruscant and Tatooine.
I wouldn't say bonding, but at least a little more interaction between them could have established, their whole relationship from the get-go. So
yeah. And but that said, do you feel that Obi-Wan could have beaten Vader on the Death Star in A New Hope, Or do you think he really could not, and he was just stalling Vader until the right time?
Can you repeat that?
Oh, in A New Hope, when Vader and Obi-Wan fight, do you think Obi-Wan could have beaten Vader?
Who really knows? Maybe he could have, but you know what? Maybe he was just too old at that point, not the same guy as he once was like 20 plus years ago.
Yeah. There was actually a deleted scene for that duel. We all know Obi-Wan's famous line, "If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine." But there was another part of that line before he said that was deleted. Basically, he says, "If I should strike you down, then I will have won." So basically, he's he said he basically implicating the duel could have gone either way. Obi-Wan could have beaten him, and if Vader had beaten Obi-Wan, he would become more powerful. It's like no matter what, Obi-Wan would have won.
Yeah.
Could have been a part of that whole Obi-Wan trolling Vader bit.
Yep, it's possible.
Yeah, because we all know in the Clone Wars he was like the master of trolling.
Master of trolling. That's something I never thought I would see Obi-Wan be associated with. So yeah.
Yeah, because he's always like he knows how to cleverly talk down to people in a way that's not too condescending and yet is very fun and entertaining.
Yeah. He's just well, not necessarily. I wouldn't say necessarily a troll, but just a guy with a sense of humor and a superior intellect.
Mm-hmm. And what else? There was another topic. Oh, have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic?
I'm trying to remember the PS2 games that I played. I don't know. Maybe it was Battlefront. But I did play some of the Revenge of the Sith game too. Like I would play as Vader.
I love that game. I still have it.
Yeah, and hell, to be honest, looking back, there was actually right before you do the duel with Count Dooku, there's actually a deleted scene somewhat like that's not even on the Blu-ray or DVDs where right before
says, just because there are two of you doesn't mean you have the advantage. Yeah,
surprised they never even put that in the film.
Yeah, that would have been good. I don't know why they had to delete that.
Yeah. And like I said, Dooku wasn't in that film for very long. He was in there for maybe a couple minutes. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially, and yeah, I love the game, Revenge of the Sith. I still have it. And when they gave that bonus level where you can you could play as old Ben Kenobi and Darth Vader, but with the acrobatics of young Obi-Wan and Anakin, I was like, oh my gosh. Does this mean they're going to do a Star Wars saga game with this kind of mechanics? I was disappointed that they didn't, but that would have been a good idea. You could have like told pivotal moments of the entire 6 movies, and with the hack and slash lightsaber stuff.
Yeah,
that would have been fun.
Yep. What was the game that you were talking about? Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. Okay. Yeah, it's a computer game, and I do have Xbox too.
Cool. No, I don't think I ever played it. So,
well,
either the Revenge of the Sith game or the
familiar with the story.
So yeah, go ahead.
Are you at least familiar with the story of it?
I'm afraid not.
Oh, because I will say this: there is one character who is a very, very major fan favorite in that game.
Is it Ahsoka?
What?
Is it Ahsoka that I'm thinking of? I'm not even really familiar with Ahsoka other than the fact that a lot of people talk about her.
Oh, Ahsoka Tano, you mean? No, she's from the Clone Wars video game. Knights of the Old Republic is set 5,000 years before the events of the original 6 movies.
Interesting.
And yeah, basically it involves this Sith Lord by the name of Darth Revan, very popular character among the EU community. And basically the villain of the story is meant to be Revan's former apprentice, Darth Malak. But Revan is a very pivotal character in the story. I wanted to touch upon how, without spoiling anything, before the game became Knights of the Old Republic, it was actually pitched to be a RPG Luke Skywalker video game. So with that said, Luke Skywalker ended up becoming Revan. So there's a theory, at least in my opinion, that Revan may have been a Skywalker originally in that 5,000 years before Luke and Anakin were born. Because that's the funny thing, you know. Anakin, they say that he was conceived from the Force. That's only partially true. He still had to be born from a living mother. So, and his mother, Shmi, had the name Skywalker. Who's to say there weren't Skywalkers 5,000 years before her?
Interesting.
So yeah, with that said, I just find that an interesting theory how Revan might be one of the original Skywalkers.
I don't know. I don't know if it would work, or I don't know if it's just something they're just trying to throw out there just for just surprise elements or just for force connections. I don't know. I don't know if it would work, but if it does, you know, hopefully they kind of develop the reasoning for why he would be maybe the original Skywalker and why it would lead to the other Skywalker generations, pretty much. So yeah.
Well, there was another character in the Knights of the Old Republic who is also connected to Darth Revan, without spoiling too much. Her name is Bastila Shan, and she had this ability called Force Meditation, basically, or Battle Meditation. Basically, she was the target of the Sith in the game because her Battle Meditation can turn the tide of any battle. If she's fighting for the Jedi, she can meditate and increase the morale of the Jedi and thus overwhelm the Sith. But if she turned to the dark side, she could use her battle meditation against the Jedi, and thus the Jedi would, be wiped out by the Sith. And it's speculated that many years down the road, when Leia finally becomes starts learning the ways of the Force herself, she's very adept at battle meditation. So that could be another link.
I wouldn't know what to. What's the character's name again? I'm sorry.
Oh, Bastila Shan. She and Darth Revan from Knights of the Old Republic. They have an interesting connection to one another. So I feel I think it could be possible that Revan and Bastila could be the ancestors of Luke and Leia. That's just my theory.
I don't know. I have no idea. If that would work, but maybe they're not directly connected to Anakin, but maybe they are the firstborn generation that would, I guess, lead to the whole idea of of Skywalkers or whatnot. So
yeah, I mean it's a possibility and all that. So it's just a matter of whether or not anyone chooses to believe it or not.
Yeah, either they choose to believe it or they buy into it. It's really up to them. I guess they never really did much of anything after that. The Revan and Bastila Shan.
Yeah, they actually, because like I said, Revan and Bastila Shan, they were the two central characters of the first Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic 2, set a few years after that, was all revolving around a whole different cast of characters. And then they came out with Star Wars The Old Republic, the online RPG game where basically multiplayer and all that. And they kind of sort of continue the Revan storyline, but it's like 500 years after that, Revan was preserved for 500 years. So basically he's in a new time period and whatnot. And because of that, basically there was actually a novel that kind of told the events of connecting the end of the first Knights of the Republic to his role in Old Republic. So, and I have that novel, and it was really good. Really good. Sad, but good. So,
yeah.
And then now, did you by any chance see the movie Solo?
Yeah, I saw the film. I didn't hate it. It definitely it's not the worst film of 2018. I saw a few other films that were probably worse. Probably, yeah, The Predator was definitely worse than that film. So, which I won't
Well,
get
I
into.
still have yet to see Solo because obviously I was upset by how the last jerk off ended. So,
Yeah, last jerk
but
off the last hand job. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, I was hurt by it, so that's why I just could not bring myself to go see Solo. And I did get at least one scene spoiled for me on the internet, and I looked it up on YouTube. It was the scene where, spoiler alert, Darth Maul makes his cameo appearance.
yeah.
And did they even go into that or not really?
You mean go into what do you mean? Like, did he really? Was it more than a minute or something?
Yeah, I mean, like, did he actually show up at the end with his lightsaber drawn, preparing to kill someone, and then what?
It just he was doing it. She was what's her face? Kira was talking to a hologram of him pretty much. He
Yeah.
pulled out. He does show his lightsaber, but he doesn't. That's all we see, and that's pretty much it. That was kind of like an out of nowhere cameo. I mean, I didn't really know who was the surprise in there. So, but I often wonder.
So he like wasn't the main villain that they had to fight at the end. It
was Paul Bettany's character. I forget what his character's name is.
Oh, I know who he is. He's Vision and Jarvis from the MCU.
And of course, he's married to Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
The first Betty Ross in the Hulk movie.
Yeah, she was probably her and Sam Elliott were probably the best things, and I definitely take them over Liv Tyler and William Hurt. Even though William Hurt was good, but Liv Tyler was definitely the weakness in the Incredible Hulk. So yeah.
How was she weak in that?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't say she was bad, but she was. I don't know. It just felt like there wasn't really too much. I don't know, development with her, or. I just prefer. I don't know. I guess Conley had a more stronger presence in the original one. I have to admit she's kind of good looking herself too.
Well, of course. I mean, who can deny? But yeah. But back
and
to
Liv
Star
Tyler's
Wars.
not a bad actress. It just that she didn't really wow me as Betty Ross. So yeah.
And I'm assuming that's why they did not bring Betty Ross back at all and just tried that attempted Hulk and Black Widow relationship.
I guess so. I actually had never had a problem with the Black Widow relationship in the sense I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it's good to at least form some kind of bond or connection with Black Widow.
Yeah, I didn't have too much of a problem because here's the interesting thing. Did you ever watch the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon that came out before the movies?
Nope.
Oh, nope. Well, in that, Black Widow really made people convinced that she was a traitor and an agent of Hydra. So then when she went to the Avengers to, basically ask for their help, tell them that she was really deep undercover, the Hulk really, really scared her. And then on the Quinjet, Wasp looked at the Hulk and she's like, "Wow, you really made her think that you were going to eat her." I was. And then so yeah, that, and then in the Avengers movie, she really, really was scared of the Hulk. That's always that is my assumption. The one consistent thing about Black Widow and in Marvel comics, cartoons, and movies, she is afraid of the Hulk. This is a triple agent spy who's not easy to crack, yet the Hulk is the one thing that terrifies her. That's my assumption.
How wouldn't the Hulk terrify anyone?
But yeah, to have her fall for the very person that actually gets under her skin and makes her afraid, I feel like that's an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
I mean,
but obviously they didn't handle the relationship very well, so that's why it didn't get very much recognition after that.
Yep.
But yeah, back on to Star Wars. What is your favorite starship?
From the Star Wars?
Yeah.
Well, I definitely like the X-Wing. I guess you can say it's the Millennium Falcon, I guess, because I even gave my car a name. I called it the Star Falcon because I like the Starship Enterprise and I like the Millennium Falcon. So yeah.
Oh, the Star Falcon. How about that,
yeah.
bud?
Hey.
He loves Star Wars, but he's always been more of a Trekkie.
Your stepfather?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. More of a Trek fan than Star Wars, so yeah.
I go for Star Wars a little bit more because that was the first one I got into. And what can I say? Lightsabers. Got to go with lightsabers.
Yeah, I understand.
But
I think you should have lightsabers and phasers, or like the guns you see in Star Wars. Yeah.
How about that, bud?
Hey, there's all going to be one company at some point in time. Why not just combine the two? It's got to happen.
Yeah. But
a trailer where it says Star Wars versus Star Trek. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
It would have been great to see Kirk hit on Leia. See what would have happened there.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. Kirk is definitely MGTOW for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I got nothing against the X-Wing or the Falcon, but I just feel like the Naboo Starfighter and the Queen's Royal Cruiser from Phantom Menace don't get much love, and they deserve it, I feel.
Yeah, I like the cruiser. That was kind of cool. Definitely was able to go with the blockade when they were escaping from Naboo.
Yeah. And I definitely like I said, the Naboo Starfighter with the combination of yellow and silver.
Yeah, that was a cool color.
Yeah, it actually kind of reminded me of the Y-Wing fighter too, even though it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, sure is.
Hey, did you by any chance play Battlefront 2?
I can't remember. I know I played another Star Wars game. I don't know if it was Battlefront 1 or 2, but I remember playing. You would always face the Imperial Guards or whatever. I'm trying to remember who you played. It's been a while since I played that game.
Maybe I should clarify. Did you play the newer Battlefront 2, or you only played the original?
I'm guessing I probably only played the original that came out in PS2.
Yeah, I got Battlefront 2 first, and then I got Battlefront 1. I don't know if there is a single player story mode for the first Battlefront video game, but obviously there is one with the second, with the 501st Legionnaire recounting his the battles he partook in the Clone Wars and the Rise of the Empire.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I enjoyed those games, and I was really looking forward to a Battlefront 3, and I was disappointed that when Disney bought out Lucasfilm, they canceled Battlefront 3 so they can do their own take on Battlefront 1 and 2.
Yep, more when Disney buys out, they're like, nope, we're going to do our own versions. Fuck your versions.
Yeah. Screw the good creative genius and just mass produce a bunch of crap that we like, yet no one else does.
Yep. How do you feel about the Disney Fox takeover?
On one hand, I kind of like it. Disney owning Fox.
Because the people at 20th Century Fuckface don't exactly make good decisions. So yeah.
True. But the fact that Disney now owns Fox means that Disney can now get X-Men back under the Marvel roof. You know what I mean?
Same with Fantastic Four, I think, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing. I never really hated the Fantastic Four films with Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans.
And what's his Ian Goldford or whatever that guy's last name is?
Yeah, I honestly can barely remember that name, but I can only remember Ian, honestly. But yeah, I never really hated those movies. The only thing I disliked was the second one where they didn't give us a real Thanos. They just gave us a giant space cloud.
You mean Galactus? That's his name.
Yeah, Galactus. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, Galactus. Yeah, I mean, you did see kind of like the outline of his helmet, but that's pretty much it. You never originally, they were going to put Galactus in there, but apparently, I guess he would have cost too much. And basically, it was Tim Story's decision to just make him a cloud. And maybe if they were going to do the third one, maybe he might have made his physical appearance. That would have been interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the only thing I was really disappointed in with that movie, with those movies. But I never really hated those two Fantastic Four films.
I like the Silver Surfer. He was created very well. I think Doug Jones was the actor in the physical world, but it was voiced by Lawrence Fishburne, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and can't go wrong with using Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, he did a good job voice wise.
Yeah, but yeah, I think what really people did not like about those movies was the way the characters were written, because they weren't being superheroes. They were constantly arguing about their personal lives and doing less superheroics. So you go first.
I guess that's the one thing they never liked. At least in the first film, you can't completely go apeshit on it because they were just struggling with their powers. They didn't know how to interact. But by the second film, I wish they would have shown, looking back, I think they should have shown them actually saving someone in trouble. And it didn't seem like they really did that a whole lot in the second film, looking back.
Yeah, they were too busy fussing over a wedding and being celebrities.
Going their separate ways, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, James Clark stopped by to give us a like.
Cool. Good to see you, James.
But, yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't have a beef with the Fantastic Four films of the with Jessica Alba, but
yeah, she was definitely
when they did the Fan-4-Stick, as they call it.
the one they did back in 2015.
Yeah,
it actually had some potential. It started off pretty decently. Like hell, the part where they arrive on the planet and when Victor gets when Reed's not able to save Victor, he gets that stuff on him. I liked how they were kind of going with that David Cronenberg twist, like merging of like
realities?
Body parts and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like when they got to the planet, after that they it definitely kind of lost me there. It's like that's when things got worse after that. Like they didn't know what to do after that. It's probably evident through the reshoots and whatever.
Yeah, I didn't actually see Fan-4-Stick. But, from what I hear, it was a mess.
I wouldn't say it's the worst film, but it definitely had potential. But
just somewhere in the middle. Interference and all that. Studio interference and all that.
Yeah, studio interference, and it had a bit of a rushed ending and whatnot.
Yeah, and nothing against Michael B. Jordan at all. He's a great actor. I will never say he isn't. His role as Killmonger in Black Panther was great. I will say that.
He was okay.
But
I feel like he didn't really do a whole lot. Plus, he kind of disappeared in that movie for a bit.
Well, actually, he was a very touching villain, relatable. That's what we like about him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, he definitely not right for Johnny Storm.
Hell no. I mean, and not to mention, if you're going to make Johnny Storm African-American, then you got to make Sue Storm African-American. I don't know why they had two known siblings be diverse.
Which one's adopted? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, someone was adopted. They say that I think Johnny was adopted, but I guess really technically Sue should be the one that's adopted.
Yeah, but that's not how it was in the original comics, and so therefore they basically said screw source material with that.
Yeah. Not a good decision. I mean, I think Josh Trank may have wrote the screenplay. I can't remember. I can always look it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's just the thing. You don't deviate from source material, and unfortunately, that is what Ruined Jerkoff did.
Yeah, Ruined Jerkoff definitely ruined quite a bit.
Yeah, because I mean, Who the hell ever pulled a Mary Poppins in space?
Maybe Superman.
Well, obviously Superman. And truth be told, that's not even my Superman. That Superman is Silver Age, the one who pulls new powers out of his ass just to, save the day. My Superman is Golden Age Superman, where he's only as strong as steel. He can only run a certain amount of speed, and he can fly, but he's limited. He doesn't have heat vision or freeze breath or any of that.
Able to pull new superpowers out of his ass. I like that. Add that to the new version of Super Friends.
Yeah, they kind of. I remember they introduced a new superpower for whenever Reeve did Superman for the Quest for Peace, the wall rebuilding stuff. I remember.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel Superman, he would be more relatable if he was back to his Golden Age power levels and just get rid of all the ridiculous powers that came after that.
Yeah, are you referring to maybe are you probably more the Christopher Reeve fan?
Christopher Reeve, I don't mind him. It's just the Superman that he was technically adapting was still the Silver Age version, because he still had heat vision, X-ray vision, freeze breath, and all that. Mm-hmm. So, but because that's another thing too. Golden Age Superman, his powers did not come from the sun. It was affected. His powers were determined by the gravity of our planet, because Krypton was a bigger planet. It had higher gravity, and here on Earth, gravity is like lighter compared to Krypton, and that's why he can fly and is stronger and faster than the average human, but not to Flash or Hulk-like levels. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Golden Age Superman would get his ass whooped by the Incredible Hulk. But that's the thing. I like that. It shows that Superman doesn't have to be, overpowering to be super.
Yeah.
So yeah, aside from Silver Age Superman, no one in the history of Star Wars has pulled a Mary Poppins in space.
Yep, unfortunately not.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell kind of movie Rian Johnson was writing, but it sure as hell wasn't a Star Wars movie.
Nope, it sure wasn't. and yeah, apparently he likes to divide the fan base. Apparently, and that's just, if you're that type of person, you should not be working in Hollywood.
Definitely.
And is it for sure that he's not really getting his new trilogy, or they're still saying he is, or?
Well, here's the thing. They're throwing out contradicting reports. One minute they say he's doing it, the next they say he isn't, then it's back to him actually doing it. So it's like they can't make up they don't know what they should do. They don't know if they should lie or if they should just tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm under the assumption he is fired. And if I'm wrong, I will admit I'm wrong. But for right now, until something definitive has been established, I am calling he's fired.
Yep. Let's hope he doesn't get anywhere near another franchise again.
Oh, hell no. I would not. Hell, if I were in Hollywood right now, I would not hire him for any directing job ever again after that travesty.
Yeah. His direction was, as Mike said, unimpressive to say the least.
And it's not just the fact that, he told a bad Star Wars movie. It's how unprofessional he was, not only to the fans, but to the
cast. Yeah, to the cast members. Apparently, I think, didn't I hear that Carrie Fisher say he was an asshole? I don't know if she was joking or not, but I guess after learning that.
Say that. Well, I didn't actually see the interview where she said it, but she did say it. But I saw the video on that John Talks made, where basically during one of those celebrity panel things where him and Mark Hamill and were on stage, taking questions and such. And he's like, what would you do with that mother effer? And yeah, basically he just he said that in front of, you know, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
That you do not talk like that, especially in a public place like that where there could be kids in the audience. That is how unprofessional and disrespectful he is, and I wouldn't even hire him for that.
Yeah, I think, isn't that what really pissed off Anna, was when he said that to him or something? Is that what really angered him?
And that pissed me off too, but I didn't have an established channel to say that on back at the time. Yeah. So I couldn't give that same fiery passion at the time that Anna did, unfortunately.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm trying to find ways to be a little more engaging in my reviews if I can be.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to settle on sitting at a place where I'm just where I don't have a dresser. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to actually improve, because apparently she was not impressed with Ramble Ralph for Life, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, I kind of know the feeling, because if you look back at some of my videos from like before, when I was sitting in front of the Dell computer over here, and the TV in the background was always, you know, taking up space. So I had to essentially put my Empire Strikes Back poster like right here, so that way the TV didn't become distracting in the background. And and Anna did advise that I put this prop Thor hammer to good use. So
yeah, Judge Thor.
Judge Thor, and you can bet on that. You want me to put the hammer down?
Yeah, put the hammer down. Yeah, apparently there is the setup I'm trying now. Yeah, there is a TV in the background. Would that be entirely distracting? I mean, I try to cover it up a little bit.
Well, like I said, in some of the previous videos, actually, this one was a mention from my mom when she watches some of my videos. She said when the TV is on when I'm doing my videos, it is distracting.
Okay, well, it's always off on my end, so.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes it can't be helped. The TV just happens to be on. You know, my stepdad or I could be watching something while I'm in the middle of trying to make a video, and so makes sense that it would be a little distracting.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
I'm trying to figure out the different setup. Now, if I had my own place, that'd be different. Maybe with this new job, that if I do get it, maybe that will help.
Speaking of which, you ever speaking of Thor's hammer, you ever watch any videos of Thor Skywalker?
I've of course heard of him, but I have not. So.
Well, yeah, he's a very good YouTuber, I think. In fact.
He forced him to play out of his game.
What would you say? Would you repeat it? Can you repeat that again?
Thor Skywalker, I think, is a good YouTuber.
I've yet to view his videos, but if you say he is a good YouTuber, I'll definitely look more into his videos. So,
yeah, he talks about a lot of Star Wars content, but he also does occasionally, bring up topics, not that kind of correlate to Star Wars. Like, for example, how Hollywood, what happened with Last Jedi was an example of what's going on in Hollywood and all that.
Yep, more political bullshit.
Yeah, which does not belong in film, unfortunately. And
yes,
but unfortunately, we don't get that.
Now they're trying to force that into it, just like with Captain Women and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if anything, I guess you can say Star Trek has always kind of dealt with a little bit of political stuff, but I guess it wasn't forcing it as badly, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't it was not like hateful messages. It was actually positive messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, because unfortunately that's the problem with Hollywood these days. They're promoting hateful messages, not positive ones like Star Trek of old did.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, and I think you were here when my stepdad mentioned how he would have done the sequel trilogy about having like the First Order be like the what was it again, bud?
What's that?
How are you? Would you have done the First Order again?
Oh,
Like the fall of the Soviet Empire?
kind of like that, yeah. Because I know the Federation and the Klingons in the original series of Star Trek was supposed to be the U.S. versus the Russians, the good versus evil.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well,
And
I think Star Wars with the Empire trying to come back, maybe make Smoke kind of like a Putin type character, where he's trying to gather the pieces of the Galactic Empire to bring it back together again, or make them even sort of like an ISIS type group where they're just like a terrorist faction.
What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah, it sounded better. I mean, it kind of reminds me of what Star Trek 6 was. Basically, the Berlin Wall coming down and how...
Right. The Praxis was like Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chernobyl, and it was like their key mining facility that just exploded. That's when the whole talks between them started coming about, and
yeah,
they reached into peace, even though that wasn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's one spoiler I did hear for the Star Wars 9.
Do you want to hear it?
Sure. What is it?
One thing they said, it might be a situation where there's a common enemy where the First Order and the Rebels may have to come together to fight, an even bigger threat.
What do you think?
I don't know. I guess that's interesting, and maybe it's something better than Marin Jerkoff developed. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, to be honest, I think the Orville might have beaten them to the punch, because that's what I don't know if you ever watched that show. It's Seth MacFarlane's version of Star Trek, but they kind of did something like that in the last episode, or they did like a 2-part series.
Don't spoil.
Well, I'm just saying that's kind of along those lines.
Yeah.
I have yet to see that show, but I hear it's good.
Oh, it is good. When I heard that it was getting more attention than Discovery, getting more love from Star Trek fans than Discovery, that's when I realized. But at first I was like, okay, how they love something that's more like Galaxy Quest than Star Trek. Mm-hmm. But then when I sat down I sat down and watched it first on the internet, and about 5 or 6 episodes in, there was an episode dealing with a newborn baby, and there was talks of its gender and all that, without spoiling. Basically, that was when I realized, okay, this is looking less like Galaxy Quest and more like Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is very interesting for them to go that route. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's got the lightheartedness of and goofiness of Galaxy Quest, but it's also got the serious talks of Next Gen.
Yeah, it's been.
And on the subject of Star Trek and its connection to Star Wars, there was another thing that I feel they could be doing with movies. We all know that the one difference between Star Trek and Star Wars is that Star Wars was always fast-paced action, always on the move. Star Trek was more of a subtle, take it one step at a time kind of deal, because we all know in Wrath of Khan, the Enterprise and the Reliant were kind of playing a game of cat and mouse in the nebula, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
They introduced the military aspect, take her down. Can't think 3 dimensions, take her up, take her down. Naval tactics. Captain, what was it? Captain Horn? What was it? I can't remember the reference. The Captain Hornblower or something like that. I can't remember.
Don't remember.
Captain Horatio. I
think. Yeah.
Oh,
Horatio.
yeah.
Okay, Horatio Hornblower.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was, since J.J. Abrams decided to make a Star Trek movie with the more fast-paced action of Star Wars, I figured Star Wars should have taken a page out of Star Trek and actually have a slow type, thought-out movie, because there was actually some episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars that kind of did like a space cat and mouse kind of thing. Yeah, there was actually. Huh?
Were you asking me, or are you?
This is one I'm explaining, but Yeah, because there was an episode of Clone Wars where Anakin and Obi-Wan had to get to the planet Christophsis, the planet where they first meet Ahsoka on. And basically, they had to sneak through with a stealth ship, and it became like a game of cat and mouse, kind of like the Wrath of Khan. So I feel like since Trek borrowed the fast-paced action of Star Wars should have borrowed some of the slow, methodical, strategic combat of Star Trek. What do you think?
Yep, that probably would have been a good idea, especially since they were both written. But no, he didn't write Star Trek. I think it was more like, I have to look it up again. I know it's Robert Orci and what's the other guy's name? Star Trek. I have to look up 2009.
You mean Gene Roddenberry, creator?
Well, I'm trying to remember if J.J. Abrams was Robert. Okay, J.J. Abrams only directed the reboot. He did not write it. It was Robert. Oh yeah, it was Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the thing is, Star Trek has always had a bit of a symbiotic relationship with Star Wars, because we all know Star Trek initially was a series that came out in the 60s, and Star Wars kind of came about in 1977.
Yeah.
And then because Star Wars was so successful, it gave the people at CBS and Paramount the idea that maybe they can do something similar with Star Trek, and that's how we got the motion picture, or as some dub it, the slow motion picture. And then
it's a little slow, but I like it. It's not perfect.
But then they of course give us Wrath of Khan, and then Search for Spock, and then Voyage Home, my personal favorite. But yeah, it's like Star Wars made it so Star Trek could be taken seriously as a franchise.
Well, I think originally they were going to bring Star Trek back as a series, because they were going to start it. Paramount was going to start its own like third network or fourth network actually in the late 70s, and the plans fell through, and then that's when they decided to go with a motion picture.
Yeah, they were going to do another TV show that would have focused on like a different crew, but then because of the success of Star Wars, that's what propelled Paramount to go ahead and do a movie instead, to kind of I guess go and compete and try to compete against Star Wars in a sense, which it made money, but like you said, it is a slow-paced movie, but I had no problems with it. It kind of reminds me of like a high budget, like a very highly budgeted version of 2001. Just this time,
yeah, I was going to say he's trying to out Kubrick.
Yeah, I think even Douglas Trumbo, or what's that guy's name? Either Douglas Trumbo. I think he worked on 2001. I think he may have worked on the motion picture. Same with John Dykstra, if I'm not mistaken. They both, I think they also worked on Star Wars, if I'm not mistaken. So let me see.
Well, we know ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, which was a Lucas thing, definitely helped with the ship models for Wrath of Khan and so on.
And even lower budget than the first one. His face, Ken Ralston, he worked on that.
Lower budget, yet it was very, very well made.
Yeah, very effective. They had to really come up with quite a bit of stuff, like a lot of good pyrotechniques, very crafty model work, and you had to be really creative back in those days.
Here's a question. Between the classics Trek TV series of, with the different colored uniforms, gold, blue, and red, and the original Trek movies where they're all in the red naval uniforms, which uniforms do you prefer?
Probably the red ones, even though there's always been that, curse, if you wear a word shirt, you'd be killed off in that episode or something like that.
Yeah. Honestly, here's what I think I would do. I would try to create a bit of a combination of the two. I would have those old naval uniforms brought back, the same design, but they're not all red. There could be, the naval uniform in gold, naval uniform blue, and naval uniform red. What do you think?
Well, I guess it'd be an interesting take on it, but I can see why in the next generation they sort of went with the multicolored uniforms, where they'd be red, green, and kind of similar to like maybe to the original series. But you know what? They didn't. They would have certain uniforms where you would wear, like if you were attending a meeting or a conference, they would have different uniforms for that. Or you have these little pin indicators on the upper shoulder area or something like that.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, in the original series, they technically never did have a green shirt. I mean, they did actually have Kirk, I think, wear a green shirt, like a captain green shirt, because they probably had
like a lime, probably.
Say what?
More like a lime green color, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was because they misplaced the yellow or gold one for a time, and they had to have a substitute. But yeah, I mean, they never had a really rich green uniform shirt, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, probably more than likely. Yeah.
They could have had that be like the grunt, the new recruits uniform, like the ensign and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, did you see the 2009 Trek film?
Yes, I actually have it on Blu-ray.
What did you think when they had the guy in the red space jumpsuit get fried in that thing?
Get fried in.
Oh yeah, when they were in space above Vulcan. They Kirk and Sulu and one of the red shirts had to space dive down to the drill.
One of them got killed off and fried.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what did you think of that?
I'm like, oh well, sucks for him. That's all I can say.
Keeping it in tradition, though.
Yeah.
Tradition alive.
Yeah, I found that entertaining.
So the character was actually wearing a red shirt? I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the first one.
Well, on the ship it was a red shirt, but when they got into their spacesuits, Kirk was wearing a blue spacesuit, Sulu was wearing a golden spacesuit, and then of course the red shirt was wearing a red spacesuit.
I forgot. I didn't even notice the colors. That's interesting.
Yeah, if you decide you want to go back and rewatch it, look up that bit. I'm sure you'll see it.
Yeah, I'll notice it this time.
Yeah, but and then there's another interesting theory going about in Star Wars. The theory that the Starkiller base, I'm in my personal opinion, I'm not going to accept as canon. But the Starkiller base is said to possibly be the planet Ilum, the snow planet where the lightsaber crystals were found on. What do you think of that theory?
I don't think it is. I think that's just a rumor.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it was in the Outer Rim, well, not in the Outer Rim, the Unknown Regions, which is where the First Order was said to be building its forces in. And Ilum was guarded by the Empire, and since the First Order is descendant of the Empire, the theory is they mined all the crystals, and then they used their Death Star tech to create a new, planet killer within the planet. But yeah, I think
I don't know if that was really a crystal saber related planet. I think that's just a bullshit rumor. So yeah.
Yeah. I personally, like I said, I cannot bring myself to accept the Starkiller base as canon, because here's the thing. Going into this movie, I thought the Starkiller base was just going to be the name of a base on a snow planet. And it's basically the Resistance go flying there to take over that base. And but they don't realize that the First Order, that was just a staging area. The First Order has already massed elsewhere. That's what I thought they were doing. But no, they didn't do that. They wanted to go A New Hope 2.0.
Yep, pretty much. And Jakku was basically kind of a ripoff of Tatooine to some degree. If you're going to do this, at least you should have set it on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they didn't really develop the whole new universe as well as they should have, especially Jakku and how that guy was able to acquire the Millennium Falcon. Did Han really lose the bet on it or something? I don't know. It seems highly unlikely that the Falcon could. What's up?
It was supposedly stolen from Han.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just on first viewing, I was enjoying the movie. But now looking back on it, it's obvious they did not have a freaking plan at all, and they just wanted to take a dump on what was established.
Yeah, basically turning the characters into complete failures was not a good idea.
I mean, yeah, we all know failure is a good good way to learn a lesson, but to have them fail all the time, that was just wrong.
Yeah. That's not exactly in their characters for sure.
Yeah. And Han Solo, he loved Leia. They were having a kid together. And then he just dumps them to go off being his old ways.
Yeah, that just seemed out of place.
Yeah,
just out of place and out of touch, and not really Star Wars. Just Disney's just basically stripping away. Basically, Disney did this. They stripped away all the good layers of what Han, Luke, and Leia represented, and try to mold them into this universe that's not them, and fit them in this period that fit them in this fucking universe that doesn't make sense
to their galaxy. Exactly.
Yeah.
See, there's a difference between allegory and trying to remake, and they should have used allegory, not completely remake.
Yeah. Or if you're gonna do a new Star Wars trilogy, I don't think you had to necessarily have the characters. At least they could have made an appearance and offered advice, and whatever. But don't do that. Don't try to take away don't try to fuck with the character's legacy. Pretty much.
Exactly. Did you ever play The Force Unleashed?
Probably not.
Oh, I love that game. The whole Darth Vader having a secret apprentice to secretly help.
Well, I haven't played it, but I think I remember seeing clips of it. It looked interesting. Now that I think about it,
it is very good. You could probably just accept the first one as canon. If you do want to accept the second one, because there are some things that are told in the kind of half-assed in the second game. But the second game is still entertaining despite, the missteps or half-assed storytelling there. But because they were going to make a Force Unleashed 3 to wrap up that thing. But of course the Disney buyout canceled that.
What else is new?
Yeah. But yeah, basically all you really need is the first game. The only problem is the way, because you see, at the end of the game, there's 2 different endings you can choose. See, Vader's on the floor, injured. You could kill him, but doing so will result in your rebel friends being killed by the Emperor. And you can let Vader live to go save your friends, and the letting Vader live to save your friends is considered the light side ending. The killing Vader and letting your friends die, that's the dark side ending.
Yeah, so, pretty much from what you said.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, basically, obviously the light side is canon because we all know Vader doesn't die because he needs to be in the original movies. But it's an interesting way of telling how the rebellion formed. It formed because of Vader's well, I won't spoil it because it's going to be fun for if you decide you want to play it.
Yeah, was it only on Xbox only, or was it on PS3 or PS4? Or?
It was actually on PS3 and PS2. The PS3 version is more cinematic, but there's some interesting gameplay elements lacking that are in the PS2 version.
Interesting. I didn't realize it came out on PS2. I thought it was probably a recent. It's not a recent game, but maybe back when PS3 and 4 were at the highlights, or Xbox or whatever.
So yeah, if you decide you're going to get a PS3 and get an old PS2, I'd recommend getting both versions of the game. Get the full experience and all that.
Should be interesting.
But yeah, essentially, on fanfiction.net, there was this author who wrote a fanfic alternate ending to the first video game, where, because as we all know, the Secret Apprentice clearly is not meant to be seen in the original movies. So I think you can assume what happens to him. But
Yep.
Essentially, oh, sorry about that. That's apparently some rumbling noise somewhere.
It's the upstairs dryer.
Oh, but yeah, essentially, we all know that he's not going to make it to the original movies, but there's this fanfic where he does, and he factors into the events of the original trilogy, making it a little more interesting. Obviously, fanfic. But because he lives, he also has a kid. This kid is born at the same time as Jacen and Jaina Solo, and he develops a bit of a crush on Jaina, something that wasn't, never featured in the EU.
Yeah.
And it looked like a good next generation type story, because this fanfic also deviated from canon lore because it has Ahsoka during the time I believe it was 20 years after the events of A New Hope, not of A New Hope, after Return of the Jedi, when these characters start to be told into their own story. Ahsoka had turned to the dark side and is leading a new empire, a Sith empire. So yeah, obviously it's gone its own route because the author wanted to tell his own unique story, but because I mean, that's the thing, it's hard to tell a story when new stuff that contradicts that fanfic comes about. You know what I mean? We didn't know what Ahsoka's fate was going to be by the end of Clone Wars, but then we got an idea by the time Rebels came about. But yeah, essentially the fanfic was the son of Starkiller, Vader's secret apprentice, falls in love with Jaina Solo. And the interesting thing is that story is basically telling him and Jaina getting a little closer together while they're on an adventure, trying to figure out who's trying to assassinate Boba Fett's daughter. And this eventually leads to the reveal that there's a new Sith empire under the command of Ahsoka Tano. So basically that would have made something like that could have made a good Force Awakens, where Luke, Han, and Leia have, rebuilt the Jedi Order, brought back the Republic, the Senate, and things are running smoothly throughout the galaxy. But it's like Phantom Menace, it's going through a slow decline, where the next generation cast, the new Trinity, the sons of Luke, Leia, and Han, and daughters, they basically find out there's some kind of conspiracy, they go to solve it, and then they find out there's a threat that's going to start a new war in the galaxy. That's how I would have done it.
Yep, something along those lines.
Well, I think this stream went a good long while. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it went a fair good while to myself too. I think we said what we could say about Star Wars and what should have happened, and
what could have happened.
The possibilities and what they could have gone with, but no, they were so stuck on doing this stuff, this political bullshit instead. And
we did drift off topic a little with Marvel and Star Trek getting involved, but it was kind of bound to happen, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek and, they're both science fiction related stories. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, and Marvel is now considered the new Star Wars. It's surpassed Star Wars in popularity and may very well possibly suffer the same downfall as Star Wars.
Yeah, as long as they keep trying to put more feminazi politics into it, yeah.
Well, and that's another thing. I don't think we can call them feminazis because they haven't started putting men in concentration camps yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Okay.
They're on their good side in case they change their mind.
Okay, well then I think we'll call this stream quits. And but thank you for coming on board and helping me make this stream last.
No problem. It's probably a good thing you're ending it, to be honest, because my battery power is getting low.
Yeah, and plus I need to start eating dinner time.
Yep, your stomach is calling to you, Mega Jetty.
Okay. Well, take care, open-minded movie man, Scott, and I will see you around, and you can bet on that.
Yep. What else is new, right, man?
Yeah.
You take care of yourself, Mega Jet A.
Okay.
Jeffrey.
Take care.